guys? Welcome back to the Wrestling Podcast, episode number 2. Yes, that's right. This is episode number 2. We did it. I did it. I made a second podcast 2 weeks in a row. That's a big deal. That's more times than I made answer videos for Q&A videos. I would always make the Q&A videos asking for questions, but I would never make the answer video. I think I did it once in 2011. And I probably made maybe 5 or 6 videos saying, hey, I'm doing a Q&A, ask me questions. It's came to the point now where I just don't make Q&A videos anymore because I know I'm not going to answer the questions. And I want to answer the questions, and it's cool to get questions, but I don't know, I never made the videos. And I know a bunch of people always, yell at me for that, but hey, I just never do them. I don't know why. It's just a thing. Anyway, we are back once again. I hope you liked the first episode. If you want to go check that one out, that will be in the link down below. Go check out the first one if you want to. And I'm excited. It's 2 in a row. So that shows that I could, I could do this. We'll see what happens next week. But hey, you got to think positive. Think positive about what's going on. Because you never know. I don't know where I was going with that. I'm excited. I've got a lot to talk about today. A lot of stuff happening in professional wrestling. Let's get started with episode 2 of the Wrestling Podcast. Starting off, I wanted to quickly update a few things that I talked about in the first episode. First off, TNA. Well, TNA is not dead currently. I mean, they might, but who knows? Basically, the Fight Network, I've never heard of them. I've heard of them once, but I really don't know what they have. If it's like a network like the WWE Network or something like that, I don't know. Anyway, the company that owns Fight Network, or the parent company, basically came out and said, hey, TNA is ours. That's right. We run the biz for TNA, and there's a bunch of things. They're going to pay off the Billy Corgan lawsuit. They're basically going to own the TNA library, which was a big deal because a lot of people wanted it for WWE, and there was talks about the network for WWE getting TNA content, and it's basically the Fight Network, so they can do whatever they want. If their network is a network, then they'll put it on there, but I mean, hey, TNA is going to continue, and we'll see what happens. I think they have TV tapings for January, so that means that we're still getting some TNA. So if you watch TNA, hey, shout out to you because you get to watch more TNA. If you don't watch TNA, it's another day. This past week on Monday Night Raw, we had the return of Ryback. No, we had the return of Goldberg. The segment went last on the show. Basically, Goldberg, he comes out of the room. There's no security guards, but there's a bunch of superstars just clapping and making this guy feel like he's wanted here. And you got Big E going nuts. That was the funniest thing ever when Big E was just clapping. The New Day was just sitting on the thing watching Goldberg walk by. It was pretty cool. I mean, not gonna lie. And then Goldberg came out, the fireworks, and he did a little smoke thing. I've never seen Goldberg live. If anything, it's been a video package like this. I've never seen him in a wrestling, thing. I've never seen him in a match. I never watched any of his matches or went back and watched stuff from him. So that was the first time I've seen Goldberg on TV in a wrestling setting. He came to the ring. He was all kinds of fired up. He was high-fiving the kids and all that fun stuff. And he went on a promo, and it was a pretty good promo. I thought it was a good way to end Monday Night Raw. And he went on about this, that, and the other. Brock Lesnar this, Paul Heyman that. And then he had that line about Brock being last. You're not next, you're last, or something along those lines. I don't remember it exactly. But this could possibly be, Goldberg's last match, and he's just going to have it with Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar's going to win, and Goldberg's going to ride off into the sunset. Or, this could be really successful. Fans might want more, and he might have a WrestleMania match. Who knows? Anything can happen from this, and I think we just need to see where it goes from here. Obviously, this match is happening at Survivor Series, so I think now it makes sense why they're having this at Survivor Series and not at Royal Rumble or just waiting until WrestleMania, because they want to do it now, let alone later. Because something could happen, down the line where one of them gets hurt, one of them just something comes up, or they just don't want to do it anymore, or something like that. And anything can happen. You get it done now. You see how it goes. The fans cheered him like crazy in Denver. So obviously there's some people that still want to see him, in the WWE ring. And I mean, he ended Monday Night Raw going around to every kid and he just picked up a kid and started walking around the ring. I don't know if that's what he did years ago, but he did it and it was the thing. And I know one of the kids that he picked up was his kid, so that's normal. I thought that was pretty funny. Just took a kid and was like, here, you're gonna go for a ride. Come on, we're bringing you around. You're gonna be a Twitter meme soon. But after that promo and, Goldberg came back, I still don't really care for this match. I mean, obviously I'm going to watch it, and obviously I'm going to, pay attention to it. And there's been talks about, is it going to go on last? Is it going to be the main event? If it is the main event and it goes on last, then, hey, more power to it. I mean, I'm not going to complain that it's going on last unless there's a great match that gets announced for that. And at this rate, there's 1 million Survivor Series tag matches. Hell in a Cell is coming up, and there's 1 million Hell in a Cell matches. So they're just all about doing 1 million matches of the same thing. So who knows what's going to main event in Survivor Series? We got to get to the pay-per-view that's in the middle, and apparently the women's Cell match is going to main event. I didn't know that. That's just something I kind of assumed from watching Raw a little bit. I mean, is this really going to happen? Is it really going to be the main event? If it is, that's awesome. Good for them. But do we really need 3 matches of this type on the pay-per-view? I think 1 would have been fine, because then it loses its prestige. One of the first compilation DVDs I got was the Hell in a Cell complete set or whatever like that. It's a big match. That cell, that that structure is the people go in there and they don't leave fine, they're bloody and they're beat down. So what the heck? Why is there going to be 3 of them if it's such a brutal match? I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see what happens. I mean, I'm excited to see it because, we only see it once a year almost, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know. So right before I started recording this, I was stumbling upon WWE.com, and they had this map where it's basically a map of the United States, and it has pictures of different wrestling things that happen in each state. And the whole title of it is the coolest thing to ever happen in your state. So I looked at the picture and I was hoping that the picture for Illinois, that wasn't the only thing they were going to talk about. I mean, think about this. The coolest thing to ever happen in your state. Just think about that. It's something that I wouldn't have thought of. I mean, there's a lot of events that I've been to that are really awesome, and really awesome things happened. But I wouldn't have thought all these things happened in this state. So I scroll down and it says, Illinois. Chicago's Allstate Arena erupted when Chris Jericho debuted on Raw in 1999. The millennium came 4 months early, and WWE was never, ever the same again. So the coolest thing to happen in Illinois was Jericho's debut. Was this really the biggest thing that happened in the Allstate Arena? When you think of Illinois, you think of Chicago, and you think of the Allstate Arena, for wrestling. So was this really the biggest thing? I don't want to be biased, but that CM Punk guy, which I'm sure they can't mention him or didn't want to mention him in this, I'm sure that was bigger than, Chris Jericho's debut. I would say that was bigger than Chris Jericho's debut. But hey, that's me, and I'm a biased CM Punk fan, and I'll always be a biased CM Punk fan. And yeah, what do you guys think? I'll link this down below if you want to go check this out. And let me know, what state are you in, and what is the coolest thing that's ever happened in your state? So I scrolled down to California, and this is one of the cool things about this. I'll just read it right here. Being Mr. Money in the Bank means you could pick your spot, and Seth Rollins picked the biggest one of them all, crashing the WrestleMania 31 main event to become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And there's a picture of Seth Rollins holding the belt, looking at the belt on the stage. Holy cow, it's the entire state of California marking out like bananas. So that one, I will agree with that one. I don't know what else happened in California, but dang it, that was the best. I'll go with that one. Illinois, not so much, but hey, I like California. I like the pick for the coolest thing to ever happen there, because I was there. Again, might be biased, but hey, friggin' Seth Rollins cashing in that Money in the Bank main event, marked out, cried a little bit. You can't go wrong with that. That was amazing. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, it's not really about wrestling, but then again, it kind of is. It's about the YWC. If you don't know what the YWC is, well, 2011 me didn't know either, so hey, I don't blame you. But it's the YouTube wrestling community. Yes, the people on YouTube who make wrestling videos are just, videos that have to do with professional wrestling, talking about it, giving their thoughts, their predictions. Technically, this podcast is on YouTube. It's about wrestling. It's part of the YWC. So a long, long time ago in 2011, it's not that long ago, but if you really think about it, that's 5 years ago. That's insane. It's been 5 years. 5 years since I really started to go all out on like wrestling videos or just like watching other people's wrestling videos. Stevie Breach was one of the first people that I started watching. Gemini 686 it was like the total first guy I started to watch. There's a whole other podcast I can make on just like my start on YouTube and stuff like that. Like there's a whole like hour-long podcast that I'll probably make one of these days just about that. But the people like, and then like It's CJ Productions is another person I started to watch, and this good old story that I always tell. Mr. Chris had a blog TV. Went in the blog TV, said, "Hey, what's the YWC and how do I join?" And he was like, "You just got to make videos." And that's what I did. I just made videos. I didn't know. But I started talking to Chris. And from there, it just kind of like snowballed with like the people that I would meet, the other people who made wrestling videos, people who go to wrestling events and film it and, give their thoughts on wrestling. And we would make joint videos like, we were all in like a Skype call and just talking about wrestling. And we called them like wrestling round tables at the time because there was like, really no name for it. So that was the name for it. Collaboration with other people. And months, after, when me and Chris wanted to start the Future of the YWC back up again, Mr. Britton Harrison decided to make a video because he wanted to be in the group. And again, that's a whole other story we can go down to. But that was just around 5 years ago to the day. I don't know when it was. It might have been like a couple, like give or take a few weeks, I guess you can say. But you got Britton Harrison. You got Mr. WWE Legan 619. He doesn't know how to spell legend, but hey, he was young. I'll give it to him. So yesterday, me, Andy, and Britton, we all had a group conversation about what it was like back in the day. And we started talking just about, remembering all these things because I don't get a chance to talk to Andy a lot, and same with Britton. We're all busy. We all have things to do. And, when you really get a chance to talk to some of these people that you've talked to for so long, back in 2011, I didn't know if I was still going to be able to talk to people like Chris or Britton or Andy or James or, just anyone I started talking to. There's this big group of people that I talked to, and then each year it would grow more. I didn't know if I was still going to talk to them years from now. And, when you really think about all these things and think about how the pieces all fell together, and, that's what kind of me, Andy, and Britton were talking about. If it wasn't for this, there wouldn't be this. And, we just got into this conversation. It was at a point where Britton was like, we got to make a video about this, or we got to do some podcasts or something like that. So expect that one soon. I don't know when soon is. We're definitely going to record that. I think it would be a good listen because we've known each other now for, like I said, 5 years. That's 5 years. I never even met them in person. It's bound to happen any day. If Andy comes to Chicago, or if Britton comes to Chicago or Kansas or wherever, it's bound to happen. But they're just people that I just haven't got the chance to meet yet. And I know it's going to be like everyone else that I met, where it's just when they, get off the plane or when they, pull up to the house, it's going to be I feel like we've been friends forever, and this is the first time that we're meeting in person. So that podcast, I'm so excited to make that podcast or that video or whatever it is, just to talk about some of the things that happened to us, because now, 5 years is a long time, and so many new people have been going through the same thing. And, they make videos on YouTube about wrestling. They see, people who have been on this website for a long time. People like Assault and Battery, Stevie Breach, Freaking Out 88, Luke Cage. The list goes on and on. They see these people who have, made videos and they have a lot of subscribers, and they kind of fizzle off, and they, maybe don't come back for a little bit, and then they come back and, see their video, and now there's a new group of people who are going to take that spot and, continue to do what they do. They're going to make friends on this website. 5 years from now, they might be making the same video I am, where they're talking about, the people they've known for so long just because of YouTube and, like I said, air quotes, the YWC. And it's just something like that it's really, really cool to think about. And I know that it's gotten to like a tangent and stuff like that, but I'm excited to record this podcast when we get to it. And I just think that it's going to be one of those things that I'll be able to go back to and listen and be like, oh yeah, like I remember that, 5 years ago, I guess you could say. Like, I remember those things. And it's things like that are really, really cool about YouTube. Certain things like talking to Andy or talking to Britton that you really don't think about until you really think about how it has impacted your life in such a huge way. So that's how I'm going to end this podcast. Kind of a little cliffhanger to mine, Britton, and Andy's podcast that we're going to be recording, and just us talking about the good old days. Like, it's not even going to be like a podcast setting like this. It's just going to be basically us talking about stuff and, someone's recording. So it's like, it's not going to be a podcast. It's just going to kind of be like stories. And I think that's what I really, really like. An example, Colt Cabana's podcast. That's not really a podcast. That's people telling stories, and Colt and whoever the wrestler is or whoever the person is telling stories. And I really, really like that. And I think that is what's going to be really, really cool about the podcast I do with Britton and Andy. So look forward to that. I'm excited to record it like I've been saying. If you want to follow me on Twitter, that link will be down below. Episode 1 will be down below as well. Thank you all for listening, and I'll talk to you again next week.